Hello, Obi. Shalom. Welcome. Ola Ade. Rochelle White, New Zealand. Shegun Fatuma. Ludovic. Samuel Kalu. Kennedy Festus. Glory by Ayodeji Bello. Okonko Shukwudi. Kate Imoedeme. Kike Moronkeji. Onyeye Okoro. Fumi Jeboda. Afolabi Victor. Ladi Shoronke. Ola Martin. Elizabeth Ali. Ayo Adedayo. Anastasia McDonald. Gloria Amaka. Justin Mayo. Berlin is ready. Okay. Baby Nakiso. Ashiva Jehoshaphat. Wow. Favored Major. Yomi Orimolade. Sunday Pesci. Shegun Lawal. Emmanuel Egbolushe. Remy Kalunga. Emmanuel Johannes. Well, welcome everybody. Nice to see you all. It's about time for us to go ahead and do what we need to do. If you want to have a copy of this message, you better do what you need to do. Go and press the share button right now. Go press the share button. Go share it. If you share the message now, then it's going to come to your page. That's how you get a copy. So if you want to get a copy of this message, just go ahead and press on it right now. Press on the share. Look for the share button just under your video or on your timeline. And here we go. We'll be able to go. You'll be able to get a copy when it's finished. Then some of you complain that you don't get notifications. For those who don't get notifications, you could actually get notification easy. If you at the end of this message, if you look for it, when the message ends, if you can just press subscription, you could subscribe for it. So if you don't get notification, go ahead and subscribe for it at the end of the message. When the message finishes, when I finish, and it stills, when it's the stilled picture that appears at the end, it gives you a place there where it says that you could actually subscribe. So you could go ahead and subscribe. Then the notification will be coming to you each time I come on. I feel like praying today. Father, in Jesus' name, we pray that you will bless this transmission. We pray that you will minister to everybody that's watching. We pray that you will talk to everybody. You will speak through me today. You will just use me as your vessel, and you cause your spirit to come forth with power, with deliverance, and with energy to set your people free. In Jesus' name, amen. Daniela Brooks, you are back. Welcome back. I told you, you keep on coming back. You will never know depression anymore. Depression is going to be a thing of the past in your life as you keep on coming back to follow and watch this program. Okay, here we go. Now, listen closely. What is the topic that we're examining today? The topic of today is how to work on yourself and add value to yourself. Amazing. How to work on yourself and add value to yourself. How to work on yourself and add value to your life. And add value to your life. I think add value to your life would be good. And add value to your life. Let me quickly correct that. And add value to your life. All right. So if you want to go and change that, you might want to go and you might want to go and Yep, but it's not a significant change. So how to work on yourself and add value to your life. How to work on yourself. Now, I've been talking about work this whole week. And, the way I've been talking about work is that work is very important. There are three kinds of work. You work spiritually, you work physically, that's the least form of work. You work mentally, then you work spiritually. So physical work, spiritual work, and mental work. And I say the mental work is the most important work because that's what makes you to bring things to reality and to real world. And that's what makes you to understand the spiritual world and also the physical world. But I've not spoken about what to work on. I've spoken a little bit about the fact that you are the most important land that needs to be tilled, that you must till your own ground. When God created Adam and Eve, he took them to the Garden of Eden and he told them, cultivate this ground. You need to till this ground. And the ground that we have the first responsibility to is us, is our lives. We need to start our hard work. The culture of work must start with ourselves. We must begin by working our ground, by tilling our ground, by cultivating our ground, by developing our ground, by nurturing our ground. And the way to do that is through, that's what I want to talk about today. Through adding value to yourself and through, just working on yourself. So the thing I want to talk to you about today is, how do you work on yourself? I couldn't believe it that many people don't really know what it means to work on oneself. And many people don't even know how to work on themselves. And they don't know how to work on themselves and they don't work on themselves. So I want to be able to encourage you today and say, and tell you and be able to help you know how to work on yourself and how do you add value to yourself, because your net worth depends on how much work you are able to do on yourself. Your value in life, it depends directly upon how much work you are able to do on yourself. So the amount of value you are able to add to yourself determines your net worth. Your net worth depends on the amount of value you are able to add to yourself. It depends on how much work you are able to do on yourself. So, if you want to be valuable, if you really want to be valuable, the way to make yourself indispensable and extraordinarily valuable is by adding value to yourself, by working on yourself, by making yourself desirable, and by improving yourself, by adding value to yourself. So the question now we're going to be talking about today is, how do you do that? How do you add value to yourself? I think it's a great thing. I always ask people, I say, do you know what is the difference between you and your boss? Do you know the difference between you and your director and your manager and the person who is paying you, the person who has employed you? Most of the time we always say, oh, because they have more money than me, or because they have a better position than me. Well, the reason why they are the ones occupying that position and not you is because at a time they have been able to create value in themselves, or they have been able to add so much value to themselves that now their net worth is much more higher than your net worth. And it is because of the value that they have created in themselves. That is what makes them to be your boss. That's what makes them to be your boss today. So the difference between people is not how they look. Yeah. It's not the color of their skin. Oh yeah. And the difference between people is not where they come from. Oh yeah. The difference between people is not either they are male or female. Yes. The difference between people really, at the end of the day, is in their net worth. And what is responsible for our net worth? What creates our net worth? Our self-value. Our self-value. Not the value, not our value in the sense that we are valuable in the eyes of God, but how much value you've been able to create in yourself. How much value have you been able to create in yourself? How much value have you been able to create in yourself? How much value have you been able to create in yourself? That is what determines your net worth. And that is what determines your income. And that is what determines your status. And that is what determines your rating. And that is what determines your standing in the society as well. So that is why it is absolutely necessary that you will know how to work on yourself. It is absolutely indispensable that you will know how to add value to yourself. If you will know how to add value to yourself, if you will be skillful enough to know how to add value to yourself, if you will master how to add value to yourself, my dear, if you can only master, if you can only master the act of adding value to yourself, if you can only master how to add value to yourself, you can become anything. You can become anything. You can become anything. You can become anything. You can decide your worth. You can decide your status. You can decide your income. You can decide your standing in the society just by adding value to yourself. You know what I've decided to do, and what I've really found to be very helpful, is that instead of going to waste your life just going to church every day and just not knowing what you are getting from there, why don't you take a decision to use that time, to begin to add value to yourself? Why don't you use that time? Can you imagine if you add 3 hours a day? Just put 3 hours a day to increase your capacity. 3 hours a day to just, get yourself involved in self-education, in adding value to yourself, and, just increasing your capacity 3 hours a day. Only by 3 hours a day. Any human being that does and gets himself involved in self-education for 3 hours a day, that person will, in the next 10 years, will become one of the most successful person, no matter what field or area of endeavor that person is engaged in. So how do you begin to work on yourself, and how do you begin to add value to yourself? Number one point, how to begin to add value to yourself and to work on yourself. The work on self must begin the work on self must begin with the act of self-evaluation. Write that down. Self-evaluation. The art of self-evaluation. Self-evaluation. When was the last time you did a thorough, holistic self-evaluation of yourself? If you have not done that before, you might want to do that. That is how you begin to work on yourself. Now, what does self-evaluation involve? What does it comprise? What does it comprise in itself? When we talk about self-evaluation, you must remember one thing. You must remember the following things. Not one thing, but the following things. Number one, you must remember and you must know that every one of us, we are not who we are supposed to be yet. Some of us are, but 99% of us are not who we're supposed to be yet. Whatever your name is. What's your name, by the way? Can you tell yourself what's your name? What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? Mention your name. Speak to yourself. Mention your name. If your name is Onyeye, Onyeye, Victor, Musa, Yewande, Anastasia. Whatever your name is, speak to yourself. What's your name? Okay, my name, for example, is Sunday Adelaja. But then you could mention your name. Whoever you are today, you must know that is not really you. Or let me say, that is not the full you, the total you. That is the you that you have come to accept. That is the you that you have been handed over to, that is the you that has been delivered to you. That is the you that we see. That is the you. Let me say it. Let me do it differently. Aliona, can you come here, please? I'm going to do an experiment today. There is a lady here. I have a lady here, one of my assistants. Oh, no, stand behind me. Yeah, stand behind me. Yeah, so yeah. This is Aleona. Now, Aleona is her name. That's how, these are the Aleona Stebeska. That's what we call her, Aleona Stebeska. This Aleona Stebeska, that's what we see right now. Just like we see you. But this same Aleona Stebeska, she doesn't speak English. She is speaking Ukrainian language, and she's Ukrainian. She's looking the way she is. But do you know that this same lady, or you, thank you, Aleona. Later on, maybe I will call you again, but right now, just put yourself in that position. Anything we are seeing right now, you that we are seeing, is not really you yet. The you that we are seeing now is only the result of what your culture, your family, your school system, and your environment formulated. You are only the subtotal of the people that developed you, that trained you, that brought you up. Whatever we are seeing today is only subtotal of the people that contributed to you. And it's only the subtotal of what you learned, of what was put in you in school. That is only the subtotal of what your parents are putting you. It's only this, that is only the subtotal of what your environment put in you. Now, let Aleona come again. Or you. No, let you come. Galina. Yeah, Galina. Can you come, Galina, this way? This another person here. She is Galina. Now, Galina and Aleona, they come from different families. Can you come this way? No, you stay. And you come this way. So, now, if let's say they are still the same persons from the same families, but if they had been brought up, let's say she was brought up in America, and let's say she was brought up in Germany, the same blood, the same name, the same parents, but because they were brought up in another culture, because they would have gone to different schools, because they would have been raised up in a different environment. Do you know it will be different people that I'm looking at? Their mindset will be different. Their content will be different. So why do I now say this is Aleona? And why do I now say this is Galina? Why did we come to agree that this is all she is and this is who she is? Why did we come to agree that this is who she is? Why did we come to agree this is who she is? Because that is what we have come to agree. That is what we have come to accept right now. But if they had been in another culture, she would have been, if was raised up in Germany, she would have been speaking German. She would have been having another mindset. She would have been speaking another language. She would have been behaving differently. And she would still have been Galena. And also here, Aleona, if she had been raised up in America or France, she would have been speaking French or American or different profession, different, environment, different, mindset, different value system. And we would have still called her Aleona. They would have become different products. Because who we are saying now is not her, we are saying. Who we are saying now is not her, we are saying. What are we saying? We are seeing just the product of whatsoever was put in them by their environment, by their families, by their school systems. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, ladies. Now, listen to me. You will be making a huge mistake to begin to think that that is all to you that we are saying right now. It will be a huge mistake for you to be thinking that is you, that is all to you. If you had been brought up in another environment as well, the same blood will still have been in you, the same skin on you, the same hair on you, the same name, the same parents, but because you are brought up in a different environment, we will have been seeing a different you. But it will still be you, but a different you. Now, what does that tell us? That is telling us that anything we see right now, or anyone we are looking at, the way we are seeing you, is not really you yet. It is only you that you have come to settle with. It is only the you that you have come to agree or accept. But when we are talking about adding value to yourself and working on yourself, the goal of working on yourself is to discover the real you. The goal is to discover the ultimate self. The goal is to discover the ultimate self. And before you could discover the ultimate self, we need evaluation. Self-evaluation is necessary for us to discover you. Hello, everybody. I want to tell you today, most of you are yet to be discovered. You yourself don't even know you yet. You yourself have not even discovered yourself yet. I had to discover myself one day like that. It was about maybe over 20 years ago that I needed to stop and said, is this me, or this is just what the environment made me to be? So even now, I'm a Nigerian. I am not denying that. But a lot of Nigerians will say, I am not totally Nigerian anymore. Why? And also, people in Russia know that I'm not Russian. And I'm not American, I'm not British, I'm not English, I'm not European, I'm not American, I'm African, but I'm not totally African as well. People say, you don't behave like an African, because I made a self that I had to do the exercise upon myself. I had to recreate myself to match the ultimate me. I have to stop and think it out and study and do an analysis and do a programming and do an evaluation of myself to create the ultimate Sunday. The ultimate Sunday at Elijah. I'm not saying to discover you right now. No, I'm saying to create the ultimate you. Now, how do you evaluate yourself? How do you recreate yourself? First of all, for you to recreate anything, for you to create anything, you need to know that you need an original. You need a prototype. You need a model. You need a model. So as a man, it was important for me to discover that every one of us, we are a copycat. We are a man or a woman. Every one of us, we are made in the image and likeness of God. So the original, the model, the prototype is God. My prototype is God. When I discovered that, I found out that everything, almost 90% of everything that I've been taught as a Nigerian has been faulty. And then I discovered also that 90% of everything that I've learned in the church and from the church, that I've learned from being born again, has also been faulty. So I had to sit down and make a list, make a self-evaluation and analysis. And the goal of the analysis is to empty myself, first of all. First of all, empty myself of all the cultural garbages that have been put in me. From my culture, from my parents, from my environment, from my schools, from my people around me, from my country, from just my growing up. Like in Nigeria now, you might be coming from Nigeria, but you might come from the east of Nigeria or from the west of Nigeria. If you are coming from the east, there are some features that are present in almost everybody that is coming from the eastern part of Nigeria. Then you have to do analysis of that and say, are they all the things that I really want in my life? Are they all things that match the image of God the Father, who is the original image and the prototype of all of us? For me, coming from the west part of Nigeria, I discovered that there are so many things that don't match up with the ultimate picture of what God expects a human to be, of the original picture of the image of God. There are a lot of things in my culture, in my background, from my family background, from my relatives, friends that I caught up that are not in God. If you look for those things in God, you will not find them in God. For example, in my culture, if you have an elder, somebody who's older than you, or somebody who's more successful than you, you are expected to bow down before that person, to prostrate before that person, to honor. Now, that is very close to the kingdom value or virtue of honor. But in my culture, it's not just honor now. It is more of humiliation. So the person you are bowing to and prostrating to, that one will be standing straight, and you will be on the ground, and will be saying, Ekpele. So he will be standing on top, and you will be down. It is against the principle of the culture. Yeah, I still do that, but not to. And people do it to me, but that's one of the things I'm going to change when I get home, by the way. That you don't trade, they took it to the extent of it's no more just honoring. It's gone from honoring to subserviency. So subservient. So people are being subservient. People are being, are selling out, their sincerity, and people are worshiping. In fact, it's almost like the culture of worship. So if you are successful, people almost worship you. And the people who are not successful, they worship. But in this kingdom, really, everybody is supposed to be valuable just because they are made in the image of God. No subjugation. There is honor, but it's not subjugation. There is honor, but there is no dominion. There is no dominion of man by man. There is not supposed to be anything like that. But in my culture, it's like worshiping of people and dominion of people over people. Anyway, but that's just an example. But what I'm saying is that, but there are many petty, little things that are present in my culture and in myself that made me to know that those things are not in God. And they are in me. Those things are not present in the nature of God, in the person of God, in the original nature of God. And I now have to uproot those things from me intentionally. I've not finished doing them, but I'm not perfect yet, and there's no human being that will be perfect on earth. But at least I am on the right path. At least right now I can say, this Sunday that you are seeing, by the time we get to heaven, I will be at least 80 or 90% of the original that God himself intended. Because the one we are having right now, the one all of us, whoever you are, whatever your name is, the person we are seeing right now might be only 10% of what God had intended you to become. So, just like I said, if you had been brought up in England or in America or in Germany or in Russia, you would have been a different person altogether. That is the same way if you had been brought up according to the nature and according to the environment of the kingdom. If you had been brought up in a way that all the kingdom virtues have replaced all other virtues, all other habits, all other patterns that are in your life, all other virtues and value systems that are in your life that are coming from men, that are coming from your parents, that are coming from your home, that are coming from your religion, that are coming from your environment. If you could just replace all those patterns, all those habits, all those information, all those value systems, if you just remove all of those and replace them with value systems that come from heaven, with virtues, the heavenly virtues, with heavenly information, with heavenly mindset, with heavenly paradigm, with heavenly character, with heavenly habit, with heavenly patterns. If you will just be able to gather, one of the things you need to do is to just make a list of the ideal qualities that you don't have, and they are in God, that must be part of your life. make a whole list of your ideal self. You just want to picture it. What is the ideal qualities that are in God that are not in me right now? Make a list of them. And then challenge yourself. What are the patterns of life that I have that God will not be like that? Jesus will not be like that. What are the habits that are not in God that are in me? What are the character traits? What are the value systems? What are the belief systems? What are the things that that I am doing right now that they are more of because of my African background, or because of my family background, or because of my educational background, religious background? What are the things that don't really rhyme? So to put those two lists together and then form one ideal one to create an ideal picture of yourself, the you that you really think will be the ultimate, the ultimate picture of yourself, the ultimate picture of yourself. That is how you begin. That is how you begin the self-evaluation of yourself, and that is how you begin the journey in working on yourself to create your ideal self. To create your ideal self and add value to yourself. You start with the value of the kingdom of God. Then, when you discover your calling and the area where you know that God has called you to and your sphere of influence, you have to do the same thing. You have to go and do analysis of the people who are best in that sphere of influence, of the people that you really admire, of the people that you really want to be like, people who are like ideal in your own eyes. What are the qualities? Not people, but the qualities that they have. What are the qualities in them? Then you go and make a list of those qualities. Okay, for example, let's say your idea, your calling is to become a scientist. And you know that, scientist or an inventor like Thomas Edison or like Einstein. So you go and study them. What are the qualities that made them to become that top people and that successful? Then you want to take a list of that, and then to look at the one that you don't have, and then make that list, and then begin to develop them and formulate them in yourself. That is how you create your ideal self professionally. And then the way you create your ideal self in, spiritually is what I already told you. Your ideal self to be like God, that's where you start. Then you create your ideal self to be, professionally. Then also, if you are a family man or you want to be a family man, you would also get another list. You study everything about that subject of man and husband, relationship, and all that, and you create your ideal self as a man. Create your ideal self as a gentleman. Create your ideal self as a husband. Create your ideal self as a husband. And people that all qualities together, and make sure that you inculcate them in yourself and develop yourself. So that is how you do self-evaluation and adding value to yourself that way. By creating and forming and formulating those teachings, those values in yourself, you are creating another you. You are creating another you. And that another you is not going to be a Nigerian or an American or a German or a Polish or an English person. That new you is going to be your ideal self. You. It's just going to be you. You according to God. You, just the unique you. And you'll be so valuable because you'll be the only one like that. You'll be so valuable that you'll be so different. You'll be able to enrich the whole world. Just like me, in a lot of things, people cannot even believe that this is possible, that a human being can be like this. I mean, I've seen so many people who've met me. They all tell me all the time that, Pastor, you motivate us so much that we want to be like Jesus. That we want to know more, God more. That we look at you, you just make us feel like we are listening to Jesus, or you just make us feel like it is Jesus that is before us, or you just look ideal to us, or things like that. Why? Because I formulated that. You can formulate that in yourself as well. Now, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about recreating yourself and adding value to you. Working on yourself and adding value to yourself. Let me tell you something. How do people become who they are, by the way? Let me just give you that clarity. Let me give you that clarity. How do we become who we are? How do we become who we are? Listen. Every one of us became who we are based on certain principles. Every one of us, we became who we are on the basis of 3 or 4 things. Just like, say, for example, whatever we eat in the natural, your body, for example, we know how it became, how it is, not the color, but how you became your size and your look, or you are healthy, strong, or weak, or everything you eat determines who you become, right? So if you are eating only chocolate, morning for breakfast, afternoon for lunch, chocolate and cake, and then evening for dinner, chocolate and cake, 3 times a day, like for 10 years in a row. We know you become so big. The same thing if you are eating McDonald's 3 times a day. By the time you eat McDonald's 3 times a day like that, in the next 5 years you become so big. So you are a product of what you eat, all right? You are a product of what you eat. Because that's in the physical. That is the same thing in your content, in yourself, in your content, in you. You are a product of what you take in. Not physically now. Not physically, not just what you are eating, but you are a product of 4 things. Every one of us, we were formulated into who we are from the information that we were exposed to. And not just information we were exposed to, but information we embraced. Information we embraced. So the information you embraced from childhood, in school, from your family, from your environment, from your culture, all those information you were exposed to and embraced, they form the person that we now call you. Which means if you were to be exposed to another set of information, and you are able to embrace another set of information, you will be a totally different person than who we are seeing right now. And you already heard me that the ideal source of information is the kingdom information, the heavens information, because that is our prototype. We were made from there. So for us to become our ideal self, we must base our ideal reformation or re-imaging on the basis of the information that comes from our source, from our original, from our prototype, from our God. So that is number 1. Every one of us, we are a product of the information we are exposed to and that we embraced. Number 2, the next thing that formulates who we are the patterns. You want to remember the word patterns. Patterns. The patterns that we have come to adopt. What are patterns? Patterns are the things that we do. Patterns are things that we do at certain times. Patterns are what we do in certain situations, in certain cases. So let's say pattern of behavior, like let's say anytime I'm angry or anytime I'm frustrated, I go and lie down in depression and become moody. That's a pattern. But me in particular, when I discovered that when I'm angry, I have a pattern of how I respond to different situations. So you need to sit down and do an analysis of yourself. What are the consistent patterns of how I respond to various situations in life? When some things happen to me, what are the patterns of behavior that I have? So what I did was, when I'm frustrated or things are not going on my way, and I'm moody, and I just go into myself, and I'm angry at everybody, I'm just agitated and angry, I discovered that pattern of behavior does not create anything good, does not give me anything. I don't gain any product from it. I mean, it's not creating anything for me. I'm not gaining from that pattern of behavior. So you know what I decided to do? I decided to find out what are the other patterns that I could cultivate when things are going wrong for me. So the behavioral pattern that I studied was the pattern of Jesus. When things are going wrong for Jesus, what are the things he did? I discovered that when things are going wrong for Jesus or for God, they do a few things. One of the things they do is that they accelerate. They accelerate the good that they were doing before. They accelerate the program that they were executing before. So when things now begin to go wrong for me, and then the other thing they do is that they innovate, they create, they become creative. It's just like when things were going bad for God, God created Adam and Eve, and then Satan derailed them, and then it derailed the plan of God. What did God do? God kept on going. God accelerated, and then God became creative. He created a way out. He became innovative, and he created an innovative way of coming up with the second Adam. So I just, instead of being depressed and sitting down and just being angry and frustrated at everybody, at myself, that everything that is not going on for me, every frustration that I encounter must become my basis for creation, for creativity. So anytime I have an attack, anytime I have things going on for me, I must be creative. It's a sign that my pattern, my behavioral pattern must be creativity, number one. My other behavioral pattern when things are going wrong with me is acceleration. I begin to accelerate. So when Satan is attacking me hard, I attack him harder. I become more creative, even much more harder. I become much more creative, much more, I begin to do much more good things, much more intensive, rather than being depressed and going, just angry and frustrated. Then another thing I did is that anytime, let's take another scenario. Whenever I'm successful and whenever anything is going on with me well, before, I just used to think about them and just rejoice, and it makes me feel good. I just rejoice, and I'm just happy about myself. I'm just thinking about the good thing that is happening, and I just sit down on it. I just be getting good mood from it. Then I discovered that what did God do when things are going on for him? And some people, when things are going on for them, they go and begin to celebrate. They go and do party or celebration. But what I discovered that God did is that there is something they call momentum. God built momentum. Jesus also, whenever some things are going wrong, right for him, he begins to build momentum on those things. He builds momentum. It accelerates. It builds the success and the momentum on a higher level. So that's the pattern. So you look at yourself. Whatever happened, those are just two situations. What are patterns when look at every situation in life and study your patterns, and then look at the patterns of the ideal, and the ideal original prototype we have is God, and then change your patterns. There are different patterns that you have. So we are all a product of the information that we were exposed to. We are a product of that information. That is why you see all Nigerians behave almost the same. That's why you see all Ghanaians talk almost the same. That's why you see people from East Africa. They resemble each other. They speak almost the same and they behave almost the same because they were exposed to similar information and they had similar patterns of behavior. The next thing that makes you to become who you are, are the value systems that you are exposed to, and the value system that you are taught to imbibe. The value system that you are taught to imbibe. For example, recently I read a news where some people were ridiculing the family of the president of South Africa, and they were saying he had 4 wives or 3 wives or something like that. And then they were interviewing in that program other South African people, black South Africans, and they were saying no problem, that is okay because that is our culture. So that is a value system. So they don't see anything wrong with it. In fact, they even went and showed another family whereby the man is actually the grandson or the son of Mandela. Mandela's family the son or the grandchildren have 2 or 3 wives, or 2 wives or something, and the children are growing up together, and 2 wives and all kind, and they say this is our lifestyle. So that is a value system right there, and they don't see anything wrong in it. But some other people have another value system. That's in family, for example. Let's say in our country, Nigeria, for example, many people have come to embrace the value system that for you to make it in that country, you've got to have a government job or a government contract. That's a value system. But if you go to America, for example, most people don't even ever think about government contract. It's not the value system of that society. Let's say another value system in our culture is, if somebody gets, let's say from your village or from your family, if somebody gets employed or put in a political position, people from that village will begin to dance and rejoice. Or even people from that family will begin to rejoice and dance. Why? Because they expect that person that is put in a political position to make them wealthy. And it doesn't really matter how he gets the money, which means the person is under pressure to be corrupt. So the value system of the whole country is breeding corruption without even them knowing. Okay, let's say another value system in our culture, where I come from, Nigeria. The value system is that you must go to church. If you don't go to church, you cannot be a Christian. If you don't go to mosque, you are not a Muslim. That's a value system right there. Not just in Nigeria, but all over the world. Another value system is that now it's a new value system that was not there when I came. When I was there, is that you need to go to your pastor to bless you for anything you want to do. It's a bad value system, destructive value system, but it's the reality. So some of those things are some of the things that must be changed. For example, there is another value system that the society is having. You must give offering for everything. Money, offering, tithe, profit offering, breakthrough offering. Those are value systems, but those are faulty value systems that won't be changed. So those are things that you have to, for example, in our country, if you have a choice between going to work on Sunday or even any day or going to church, our value system demands that you better go to church. But then we would rather go and pray. Our value system would rather go and pray for money and pray for God's blessing rather than to go and work for money. You see, so, these are things that this is a general kind of concept, but you might want to look into your own personal value system. What are the value systems that have affected you? And what are the value systems that have made you who you are right now, who you are today? And then you've got to do that evaluation. And that evaluation has to start from you. The change has to start from you. And you have to say, okay, you have to do analysis. And are these things in God? And you have to start by, of course, comparing yourself with God. So compare your value system with God. Compare the virtues that are celebrated in your country, the virtues that are celebrated in your community. For example, in our culture, the virtue that is celebrated is that you must, if somebody comes to visit you or if you are successful, you must always give everybody money. So even if you are going to the car park, you must give somebody their money just because they did their job. Or even if you're at the airport, you must give somebody money because they're doing their job. Even if they are your relatives or family, friends, they come to visit you or something, you must give them money. So it doesn't really matter. So we don't know that way that we are actually encouraging parasitism or whatever. Parasitism. Anyway, that is being paralytic. We are making people paralytic and we don't even know it. So a lot of things are happening that we don't really, know. I mean, and these things have been inculcated in us through our churches, through our culture. So these are parasitism. Yeah, parasitism. Thank you, guys. So these are some of the things that we must examine ourselves. So what are the value systems? The value systems are the things that you have come to embrace because your family embraces it, because your community embraces it, because your society embraces it, because your church culture embraces it. So that's why when I preach today, almost everybody says they have never heard it like that. The kind of things I preach on, they are not the things that everybody is preaching on. I don't preach on the things that Americans are preaching on. I don't preach on the things that Europeans are preaching on. I don't preach on the things that Africans are preaching on. My preachings are always original. And why that? Because, you know, I've repackaged myself. I've remodeled myself. I've done that work of evaluation. I've evaluated myself from head to toe. I've evaluated myself, you know, from breadth to, you know, breadth and wrist. I've evaluated myself in every direction. I've evaluated myself and I've put a new content in myself. Content that I think is much more in line with the ideal content that God desires and would have desired to see in me. So every one of us, we are only a subtotal of the information that we're exposed to that and we embraced. We are a subtotal of the patterns of life that we have been taught to embrace, that we use, that we practice. Then we are a subtotal of our value system, the value system and the virtues that we have been exposed to, that we have embraced. And finally, we are all a product of the principles upon which we take our decisions. Principles upon which we take our decisions. For example, I was teaching the other day about the fact that if you see poor people around you, it is the right principle for you to take your tithe and use that tithe to feed those poor people, or to help those poor people like the Good Samaritan did, or to go and meet the needs of your relatives or friends or people around you in your community, in your country that are hungry, that cannot send their children to school, that cannot even find money to eat. It's better to use your tithe to do good and deliver those people than to take that tithe to a church that is already filthy wealthy, a church that is already filthy rich, that is already doesn't know even what to do with money, a church that is already stinkingly rich, and you just keep on taking that tithe there every day. You don't even know what to do with it. It's better to have used that money to do good for people, you say, because Jesus said, I was hungry, you did not feed me. I was naked, you did not clothe me. I was in the prison, you did not come to see me. So these are the things that are principles that we have been taught. So yeah, you know what people told me? These are new principles we are talking about. And these principles will not work in Nigeria. You must take your money to tithe. You must take your tithe and offering to the church only. Only one way. So I said, what about if I prove it to you in the Bible? What about if I prove it to you in the Bible? That tithe and offering is not just for the church only. Tithe and offering is not just for the priest only. That tithe and offering is also meant for the poor and needy. And I have a whole message. If you have not seen that message, if you don't have that message, go look for that message. That you go, I think I call it, is tithe only meant for the church? Is tithe only meant for the church? Go look for it on my blog. You say, you go to the video, my video broadcast on the blog, or my daily broadcast, and you go and look for it. All of you that have been missing out on my messages, go to my blog, sundayadelajablog.com, sundayadelajablog.com, and go to the daily broadcast, the video or audio, and you go and look and go and listen to all the messages that you want to listen to. Or you could go to the YouTube. They are also on YouTube, Sunday Adelaja Official, and you could go to the playlist and get the teachings on my daily broadcast. Anyway, but people will rather, even though they see people, they logically, they know that, okay, it makes sense. But because that is the principle they have been taught to take their decision. This is the principles that dictate their decisions. So the principles, our principles dictate our decisions. For example, in my country, Nigeria, can you believe it? I'm sure people who are not coming from Nigeria will not believe this, but you know, in my country, Nigeria, people are taught that the right principle to treat your enemies is to kill them. Can you believe it? In my country, people believe that the right thing to do to your enemy is to kill them, or to pray for their death, or to kill, you know, to kill whatever spirit or whatever they say that is behind them. You can't kill spirit. Spirit don't die. You will know that. to kill the, and even pastors and preachers will say, before the end of this year, whoever is disturbing you, whoever is standing on your way will die. Or we not see that next year, or we not see the next month, or we not see the next week. Whoever is behind your failure will die. So that is a principle right there, that they are, you know, that they are based, that they are used to. So everybody is operating. What are the principles upon which you base your decisions? If any decision you are taking, they are all based on some principle or the other. There are some principles that are behind any kind of behavior any kind of behavior, any kind of decision you take. Your decisions are based on principles. Either you are aware of it or you are not aware of it. Either you like it or not. Your decisions are based on some principles. And either those principles might either be faulty or right or faulty. Either they are godly or they're just, you know, they're just carnal and they're evil. And so many examples like that. So those are the four main things that dictate why a nation is the way they are. So every nation is formulated. Every nation are who they are. They behave like they behave. They talk like the way they talk. They react to life the way they react to life because of those four principles. We are all a subtotal of these four things. The information we're exposed to, the patterns that we've been embraced to act by, the value system and the virtues that we've been taught to embrace, and then the number four, the principles upon which we base our decisions. All of us are a product of these four things. So these four things formulate us who we are. But every one of us also must get a place one day in their lives. Every one of us must stop and say, now I want to create myself. I want to intentionally, consciously create a new me. I want to create a new me that will line up with what God originally saw in heaven before he sent me to the earth. I want to create a new me that will be a perfect model of God's picture and of God's expectation. I want to create a new me from the information I'm exposed to. So if you want to create a new you, you must change the information you are exposed to. It's just like some of you are coming here to listen to me. You know, you are changing. You are becoming different. Why? Because if you have been going to churches, all the normal churches, all your life, and you've been listening to church, all this normal preaching that people have been preaching to you all this while, that's why you are the way you are. That's why you look like everybody else. That's why your success is just ordinary like everybody else's success. That's why you are behaving like everybody else. For you to really change and become a different you, a new you, you must find a different set of teaching, a different set of messages, a different set of information that will create a new you. You must embrace a new set of information that more lines up with God, with God's expectation, and with the ideal expectation of God. So you have to reinvent yourself through the information that you embrace, the information you expose yourself to and you embrace, the new set of information. So you have to reinvent yourself. Every human being must stop at a point in his life and recreate, reinvent, and reformulate his own self and his own content. And it starts with the information you expose yourself to. Number two, you have to do analysis as well. Just like you do analysis of the information you are exposed to and change them and get another set of information to come to your life. That is the same way you need to stop and do analysis of the patterns, your patterns of behavior, your behavioral patterns, and you need to do a thorough analysis of in every aspect of life, and then you go formulate another set of patterns that you want to develop. You embrace those and reject all the other ones that have not brought you to the place that you have like to become. You have like to be. Another thing you need to do, apart from the information, the pattern, you also need to check out your value systems. What are the value systems that form the core of your life? And where do they come from? How right are they? You need to analyze them, study them, and then study and other ones that are the ones that are collaborating with the person you wish to be, or with the ideal life that you like and you see around you and you see in God as well, and be able to cultivate those new value systems. Then finally, of course, you have to do what every decision you take, what are the principles behind them? And how are they ideal? How are they in line with what God would like? How are they in line with the ones that successful people use? And then you have to change them and say, no, these are the ones that I want now. Now, how do you know? Let me answer one more question before we go. How do you know if you are to change some value system or not? How do you know if you are to change the pattern or leave it? How do you know if you are to change the information or leave it? How do you know if you are to change the principles or leave it? It all depends on this. Listen closely. If you have been doing this, let's say you have been exposed to information, let's say information. If you have been listening to this kind of information, this kind of preaching all your life or a few years of your life, what are the results they have produced in your life? And what are the tangible results they have led to in your life? If you like those tangible results, if that is the best result that you could get from that information, and there are other people in the world who are not getting as much result and they're getting only worse result, nobody doing better than what you are doing, of course you don't need to reject those kind of information. You need to keep on embracing it and even increase it. The same thing when it comes to patterns. If the patterns of life that you have right now have not led you to success, because anything you are right now, whoever you are right now, is a subtotal of the patterns you have practiced, of the information you've had up to now. So your life now is just a picture of all these 4 things that that were in your life up to now. So if what you have in your life right now, you don't like it, it means the information has to change. It means the patterns have to change. So if there are some results that you don't like in your life right now, you must change the pattern. Until you change the pattern, until you change the information, you change the pattern, you change the value system, you change the principles, the thing will not change. Don't just keep on expecting some result if you have not changed the basis. These are the fundamentals. These are the things that determine the results that you have in your life. So if you want to see any different result in your life altogether, the new result don't come without changed values. Only after the values have been changed, only after the value system have been changed, then upon the new value system, the new information system, the new pattern, the new behavioral pattern, and the new principle that you have now set in place in your life are the ones now who will be attracting new results. It's just like saying that if I say, Galia, come please. I told her, come. That is an information. I sent a certain information to her. She came. Now, Galia, can you go back, please? Same information. I said, come. It took that information, come, please, took her, raised her up, brought her to me. That is information. That is the information that was released. For me to get another result, if I say come again, I cannot get her to go. For me to get another result, which means she has to leave, I have to tell her to leave. I have to release that information to go. That is when she will now go. So the same thing with you. If you are having the same information that you were having before, that is anything you are today is as a result of the information you had up to now. If you want to become any other person different tomorrow, you must first of all change the information, the set of information you had that has taken you thus far. You want another set of victory, another set of results. You need another set of information, another set of patterns, another set of value system, another set of principles. So you have to put those things in order for you now to begin to see another result. So I spoke with the same mouth. Come here, please. She came. And with the same mouth, I spoke. But another information. And what happened? She just disappeared. Why? She just left because another information has been given. So it depends. The result you have in your life is coming out as a result of the informational base upon which you have based your life, upon the patterns upon which you have built your life, and upon the value system upon which you have built your life, and upon the principles upon which you have built your life. Until those ones change, new results will not come. New results will not come. For new results to come, first of all, the things that create those results have to change first. So if you have not been working hard, that is a pattern. That is a pattern of life right there. So you need to change that pattern of life. If you have been sleeping too much, that's a pattern. If you have, been doing some things because somebody told you, that's information right there. That's a value system right there that you need to change. So for you to become a different person, you must change your content first. Then that content that you have changed will now begin to attract new results to your life. So that is why people say that to keep on doing the same thing and expecting different results is insanity, is schizophrenic, is madness. For you to begin to keep on doing the same thing and expecting the different results, it's not possible. You must have another, have another set of behavior, another set of pattern, another set of information system. You must have another set of value system, another set of principles before you now have the right to be expecting changes. So when people in our churches are just going to church saying, today is my day, and they have not changed anything, I look at foolishness in the churches and I just say, my God, though. Yes, there is a possibility for miracle, but that's just 2%. The variability of miracle is just 2%. So to be going to church and just say, today is my day, today, in the name of Jesus, Pastor will now say, Papa will now say, Gio will now say, they will now say something. I'll get the breakthrough. It's a new year. It's a new year. The new year will come. New year will not bring anything new. Nothing new will change you. Just for you to know now, until you have changed those 4 things. The same thing that was happening every year is still the same thing that will still continue happening. It doesn't matter what GO says, it doesn't matter what Bishop says, it doesn't matter what pastor says, it doesn't matter what prophetic offering, it doesn't matter what breakthrough they pronounce, it doesn't matter what gimmicks they do. They can do all kind of gimmicks on you. You will just have emotion like for about 2 hours. After the emotion has gone, you will go back to your reality again. Of course, it's not bad because they are cooling you down. They are just like, they are like breathing on you. You are hot. They are just breathing on you, cooling you down, fanning you. But at the end of the day, when the cool things goes down, and the fanning disappear, you will discover that nothing has changed you. The word of the prophet has not done anything. And the breakthrough, the proclamation and everything, the affirmation has not changed anything. Everything is still the same. Because those pastors, they are preaching the same thing they have been preaching for 10 years. They are preaching the same kind of message. In fact, go to my country, go to any church. All of them are preaching the same kind of thing. And they are just deceiving people. Most of them are just doing the same thing. Nothing is going to change. For you, they've got to change the content of the people. They've got to change the expectations of the people. They've got to change the value system of the people, the pattern of life of the people. We are not teaching even the culture of labor in our place. We don't even teach people diligence, and we want them to be rich, and we want them to do better. We don't even teach them the dignity of labor, and we want them to, to just become rich and wealthy from nothing. We will only become poorer and poorer. It's not a curse. It's not a curse. It's not a curse at all. It's just the truth that nobody... It's just the truth that nobody is saying and nobody is talking about. So until we begin to teach the principles of labor, the principles of diligence, until we begin to see the loss of money, until we begin to see teach the process of productivity and production, until we begin to teach how to produce goods and services, until we begin to teach hard work, until we begin to teach other values, our country will not be rich. Our continent will never get out of darkness. Things will only be going from worse to worse, because religion, the form of religion we are practicing right now, is hopeless. It's hopeless. For the ordinary man, it's hopeless. It's hopeless. So all these kind of principles must be taught for people to change. For our country to change, the people must change. And for people to change their mindset, their belief system must be changed first. Until their belief system change, nothing changes. We can prophesy any amount we want. We can read the Bible. We can read stories. Everybody already knows stories of the Bible. Everybody already knows Bible from focus of word. Nothing is changing. Because you must teach people principles. You must teach people value system. You must teach people patterns. You must teach people information. You must teach people, all these things that I've talked about today. If you don't teach people, if you don't change them, their value system, their inner content is just, deception of each other. You people will just be deceiving each other, falling on each other. You'll be dying one by one. They could be burying you. And your children will continue to be expecting miracles. They will be dying also one by one. 2% in the average will be getting miracle and be testifying. You'll be saying, why is it working for other people? It's not working for me. You just be wondering. And even those ones that things that are working out, is because they are using secrets to go and get other information and to work on themselves. And following the principles. That's why things are working for them. Because God has put the laws in place. God has already set everything in order. We must go and get them and use them. And that is how, we must go and do our best and maximize the things that God has already put out there. If we don't go get them, we'll just be doing the same thing, expecting different results. It's insanity. It's insanity. What time is it, by the way? Let me check. Ooh. 11 minutes past. It's 11 minutes past. So anyway, if you have not shared the link, if you have not shared this, if you have not pressed your share button, please go get that share button and press it right now. She go, he say, Elizabeth, I beg you, make you no kill person. Go find your share button and press the share button, please. If you have done, you have to have this copy. You have to have a copy of this message. You've got to have a copy of this message. Flair Karim Batim say, Pastor, my tummy is hurting me. Out of laughter. Brenda said, no, I can't laugh, I beg. Well, if you make you go share the link, Jerry. If you have not shared the link, go share the link and write your comments. Let's read your comments. Let me hear your opinion and your comments about this message. Let's go share it. I think that every Christian must hear this message, and every one of you must have a copy. To have a copy of it, just share it. It's going to your timeline. Wow. Sonny Nwabuna say raw but truth. Oh, God bless. Fumi Jeboda say, you read my mind. Elizabeth, how I wish I could reclaim my time back. Victoria, he says, sir, what's the place of confession leads to possession? No, Victoria, you are pulling my leg. Me, I caught you this time. I'm not going to comment on that one. Because it's not going to lead to any possession. You are going to become cleaner and gatekeeper all the days of your life. You're going to just make confession leads to possession. You just be possessing your bills. Your bills and your debt is what you'll be possessing. Wow. Daniela Brooks said, love your laughter. I will go to bed tonight. She was having depression. She couldn't sleep. She said because of my laughter, she will go and sleep. Ayodele Muiwa said, I really have a lot to change in my life. A lot of mine didn't know what to do. Francois Andouy Mana, just on time. Thank you. Kennedy Festus said, I will listen to it over and over again. Of course, everybody needs to listen to it over and over again. For that to happen, you need to copy it to your timeline. T.Y. Moore said, nothing wrong with prayer, but prayer alone with no words is futility. O.D. Carroll said, please, sir, oh, wow, I'm addicted to your teaching, so... If it's possible, can we increase it to 2 hours instead of 1 hour? But why should I increase it? You already have so many hours that are there that you have not listened to. Some of you are just coming in, and I have, like, how many hours of teaching? I have, over almost 300 teachings now. 300 teachings just on this daily broadcast. So go to my blog and get them. If you cannot, if you need to hear more, go and listen to some of the series that you lost, that you didn't listen to. Olabisi Olushoga. By the way, Olabisi, you sent me your Skype, but the Skype you sent to me is not working or something. I don't know. I'm writing you, you are not responding. Olabisi said, I'm angry and hungry for change. The teachings are new every day, full of anointing. Pastor Sunday, you don't go kill us, so. Nikki Christian said, Pastor, this is serious. So majority of us wait for New Year Day to get breakthrough. God open the eyes of your children, especially in Africa. Anastasia McDonald said, new content must be embraced. Elizabeth says, I wish I could collect my time back from all those fruitless prayer meetings and vigil I went to. Anastasia says, value systems must be changed. Yeah. T-Max said, thank you, Pastor Sunday. Ruth prays, now I know that the chance to make wealth is equal for all humans and not just because I'm a Christian. Yes, Ruth prays says that. Prince Otto Dafe says, oh my God, where have I been that only recently I discovered you, Pastor Sunday? Well, but the good thing is that you could discipline yourself, go get my other teachings on daily teachings, and begin to recreate yourself very fast. Begin to catch up. You've already lost almost 300 hours. Go catch up. Afolabi Victor says, poverty is too much in African churches. I mean, I can't understand. Linda Timberlake. Yes, this is very true. I'm glad God blessed you with this teaching gift from God. Thank you. Oh, you say, man, I know they fall from heaven again. Oh. Abimbola said, we need to renew our mindsets. Kennedy Festus said, only the truth can set us free. Right on, Pastor. Yetunde said, we are all delivered from the religious foolishness in Jesus' name. Amen. Bukola Olushoga said, shy, God help me. I have a lot of work to do. Thank you, Pastor Sunday. Koye Jodola, how foolish are we that we expect the breath to transform us? Wow. Daniela says, oh my God, you make me happy. I told you, Daniela. I told you, Daniela. I told you, Daniela. Shigo said, we need to empty ourselves and refill. Femi Oshunjaye, I've always wondered why all our prayers haven't changed Nigeria for good. I've always wondered. It doesn't do it. You have to change the principles and the value system first. Queen Olive said, Nigerian pastors have lost it this time. Okay. Yeah, we are. Oyewole Joseph said, once in 38 years, that's when real miracles pass by you. Where can I get details about HMT? HMT is the training that I do here in Ukraine. T-Mark is asking, why can HMT? HMT is in Ukraine here twice a year. And the next one is coming up in November 6th to 12th. November 6th to 12th. So if you want to come, just write to guest, G-U-E-S-T, guest at godembassy.org. Guest at godembassy.org. Godembassy, one word.org. If you write there, you can get all the information about HMT. Come to see me in Ukraine in November. And also, those of you who say you don't get notification, just watch this my program or any program. At the end of the program, you will see subscription. You could subscribe to get notification each time. If you subscribe to the program, you will always get notification, okay? So if you have not done that, you might need to go and do it. Shiga said, Pastor, you are a deliverer. God bless you so much. Thank you. Well, Daniela is saying, when am I coming back? I'm back here every day. Every day, 7:30 a.m. British time and Nigerian time, 7:30 a.m. in the morning. And every evening as well, 7 p.m. Nigerian time and British time, 7 p.m. But in America, Eastern time is 2:30 a.m. and 2 p.m. every day. The same time, 2:30 a.m. and 2 p.m. every day. Yusheria says, I need an overhauling of my life instead to be the best, to be the best, right? Evangelist Austin Shinedo, the key problem is the ongoing system of our environment in which our pastors are also involved in, right? Victor says, you can spend, waste, or invest your life. The choice is yours, but I choose to invest it, according to Dr. Sunday. Thank you. Blessindra, I am really inspired by your strong, true message. This is a bomb, Pastor. God help me. I'm so smiling because of you. Thank you. Shola, I pray for you, Pastor Sunday. Your source will never run dry in Jesus' name. Abimbola, there is no more daily broadcast. It's now daily eye-opener. Matthew, Pastor Sunday, please, in the Bible, God instructed priests to wear special dress, but now the pastors don't do that. Can you wear special dress? I'm not aware of that. Maybe you could show me. Then Sunday, Omar Moke said, thanks, man of God, though I missed most of the message. Love your laughter, though. Well, you can just press share, and it will come to your timeline. You'll get a copy of it. And once you have a copy, you could listen to it again and again. Hello from Jordan. Hello, Abid Rabu. Blessings. Ife Oma, thank you so much. Thank you. Christina Lampe, enjoying your teaching, Pastor Sunday. Churches are stinkingly rich. Sumbo James, I agreed to many of your teachings. Yeah, but biblical principles are more important. If you think these are not biblical, show me what the biblical principle that you have done. Show me what it has done in your life. Show me the results. The Bible says by their fruits you will know them. Show me the results of the biblical principle that you have obeyed. Olukayo Dekundayo said, a man truly in Christ is a new creature. We must work on ourselves for the renewal. Thanks, Pastor Sunday. And Annie Ebiet says, Pastor, truly, sincere, I started listening to your daily teachings. It has changed my life and ministry. God bless you since I started listening. Abidemi said, great insight. Wow. James says, your story has always inspired my work with God. Thank God. Yetunde said, Pastor, what you've done to me tonight doesn't have a remedy. Doesn't have a remedy. I'm now like a wild lion, ready to take back and never lose again. Oh. Matthias said, this is great. This is more than any motivational book or video I ever come across. Wow, your message is priceless. You are just a breakthrough. Waldemar Santos, I haven't been able to sleep since your last video about being unemployed is the best thing to happen to you. That was 1 month ago. So you've not been able to sleep for 1 month. Obina says, everything you know today has come through information you have either been taught by God or by man. Carol says, message for us to experience. These are messages for us to experience transformation. Christy says, Pastor Sunday, thank God it's not too late. Evangelist Austin says, church madness is too much as they think his church is the building. Brenda says, Pastor, you are changing our lives daily. I've been drinking, eating, and living your teachings. Wow. Evangelist Austin says, I've stopped many church programs and asked people to go and have time for manifestation, not waiting for unseen miracles anywhere. Okay, Ajedegba said, God bless the day that I was told about you, Pastor Sunday. Jennifer is saying it's too late in her place. Maybe she's in America, but I'm still viewing this thing. Ngozi said, every day I learn something new. Everyone knows Bible stories. It's high time we learn Bible principles. Christy Nadi says, we seriously need to renew our mind and be transformed. God help us. God bless you, Pastor Sunday, for this awesome. Christopher Odetola said, Pastor, it's evident that you are teaching us from your heart and with passion. The desire to change life is too evident. God bless you. Blessindra said, my belly. My belly, my head, oh. Wow, what a bump message from you today, sir. Anastasia said, I'm extremely excited to be the new me. Thank you, Pastor, for this potent message. You're saying, Elizabeth, don't kill me. Wow. Okoye just said, truly you are determined to wake up the giant in us. This was a purpose built. Wow. You guys, I think I need to go. I'm spending too much time with you. Oh, it's like God is answering your prayers. That wonder why it's not enough. Okay, have a wonderful evening. We'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday. I'll be back in the morning. And then in the evening, we have some wonderful testimonies for you. And then on Sunday as well in the evening. God bless you guys. Wow, blessings. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your evening. Go share the link if you have not shared it already. Let the word spread. Let the transformation begin. Let the revolution take over. God bless.